Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump finished their very busy week of campaigning by taking jabs at one another. That was in speeches Friday evening. Speaking at a fundraiser in New York City, Clinton commented on the demographic that Trump is trying to target with his campaign. While in Florida, Trump rallied supporters and accused Clinton of being able to get away with anything.
The only thing she's done well, and she'll go down in history for it, I have to admit, is getting out of trouble with the emails. That's the single greatest achievement of Hillary Clinton, because she is being so protected. She could walk into this arena right now and shoot somebody with 20,000 people watching right smack in the middle of the heart, and she wouldn't be prosecuted, okay? That's what's happened. That is what's happened to our country.
You know, to just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that. And he has lifted them up.
With me now from Washington is roll call columnist Jon Allen. Okay, Jon, I want to get first to these comments here. Quote, half of Trump supporters in this fashion that she's quoting here. Does Clinton risk losing support from independent voters by going that strong against Trump supporters?
I think it's ironic that her campaign slogan is stronger together, and she's talking about tens of millions of Americans that way. Look, I think it's perfectly reasonable for her to point out that Donald Trump gets support from people who are intolerant, from white supremacists. It's true, and I think it's one of the illuminating points of her campaign. And yet, at the same time, talking about people as being in baskets of deplorables is really sort of a lower, a low road attack.
And I want to take the other side by saying that Clinton could shoot someone in front of an entire rally and get away with it. How does that rhetoric play with moderates, and are moderates really needed at this point?
I think a lot of Donald Trump's rhetoric turns off moderates. One of the groups that he's going to need to win is suburban Republicans, particularly people who may be Republican and also back gun control measures. We hear him talk a lot about shooting people, other people walking into arenas and shooting people. I don't think that's helpful to him in expanding his base in any way, shape, or form.
And if you're looking at recent polling, it shows that the race is tightening nationally, especially in key battleground states. Clinton did hold a healthy lead about a month ago. But was it just a matter of time before things kind of got heated up?
Well, we frequently see that the candidate who emerges from the conventions with a little bit of a lead, who gets the bigger bump, comes back to earth a little bit. If you look across the states right now, if you look at the average margin between the two candidates, Clinton has a pretty steady, if not large lead. That is to say, you'd much rather be in her position right now than in Trump's position. But it doesn't take much to move the national polls or the battleground state polls a little bit.
So you think this is pretty normal, that it's kind of tightening about this point in the election?
Oh, absolutely. It would be shocking if there wasn't some tightening in the polls at this point.
So we know Clinton will be spending the next several weeks campaigning on a more positive message based around her policies and values rather than trying to contrast her to Donald Trump. That's what we believe. So will this help to turn around her popularity by doing that?
I think I'm not sure how much she's going to be able to turn around some of those hard believed things about dishonesty and whatnot, but I do think that she doesn't help herself going negative when people already have such negative opinions of her. At some point, she's going to have to make the case for herself, as her surrogates are also making the case: President Obama, Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton, Tim Kaine, Vice President Biden, that she has a vision for the United States, and she's struggled to do that a lot of the time over the past 8 years. So we'll have to see how well she does it this time around. But going positive is something that will do better for her, I think, than going negative in terms of improving her own numbers.
Jon, who does she have to target right now in the next few weeks to really get to come to the polls to make a difference?
I think you're going to see her do a lot of targeting of the Democratic base. I think you're going to see her try to get as much turnout as she possibly can. What we've seen in the last couple of election cycles is that if a party is able to really drum out its base, they can win the presidential, even if independents don't love them.
Also, we know that Clinton's been taking more questions from the press, actually multiple times throughout the week, which she hasn't done previously. So what do you make of this sudden change of availability with the press?
Well, one thing that you can see is her ability to drive news by talking to the press. So she comes out and attacks Donald Trump on his performance in the commander-in-chief debate earlier this week, and basically talks about how he's praised Putin and says people should go out and ask Republicans if they agree with Donald Trump. And then boom, you see a couple news stories that day about what Republicans down ballot are saying, and they're distancing themselves from Trump. So she's found that there's an ability to drive news about things other than her email and other than the classified information that was there within by talking to the press more often. There's obviously the risk of saying something she doesn't want to and driving a bad story, but she's seeing that upside of driving stories she wants to.
Jon Allen in Washington. Thanks, Jon.
Hey, Reena, take care.